There's a deadline in place. So I push it.
It's easy to spend one lump sum, 10 million.
Oh, it is. It's tough. It's totally not tough. I agree. I like an adjustment to capital.
Well, yeah.
You know, you just gotta kind of keep everything pointing in the right direction.
Cameron doesn't want to move forward. They don't know how to walk. All right, you ready? So I mean, that's the reason why. Yes. We're gonna go ahead and get started, everyone. Thanks for coming, everybody, and good morning. Call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the fiscal year 23 obligation report. Joey.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm stepping in for Steve today, who could not be here. I'll be going over the obligation reports for the fiscal year 2023. Overall, the two counties had $58,056,809 in federal funding, majority of which were in road operation and maintenance, which is just pretty much anything to do with roadways besides lanes. About 88% were road operation and maintenance, and I'll break it down by the two counties. For Trumbull County, we had $37,385,182. The big chunk of that money was the diverging diamond in Howland Township. So that was about $20.4 million of the 37 million. Of the second biggest project, which I have not highlighted up here, is the one of the ODOT projects. So those are over the three counties, including Ashtabula. So we just kind of threw them in with the both counties to make it fit better. The only non-road operation and maintenance project in Trumbull County this year was the sidewalks for Trumbull County. So that's on State Route 5 in, I believe, Niles.
It's Kinsman.
Kinsman, sorry. And that was under bike pedestrian. It was only about 200,000. Yeah, 200,000. Mahoning was a lot more diverse, but it also had a lot less funding, so about 20 million. Biggest projects for Mahoning were the Mahoning County Bridge painting phase 2, Mahoning State Route 170, and just capital solar canopy for WRTA. Just a reminder, STBG and TAP applications are due Friday, December 15th, so coming up in a couple months. Just go ahead and submit those to us any way you feel like. Come into the office, email them to Stephen. And any questions, go ahead, reach out to Stephen or me. Yeah.
How much money is available? You're looking at a program for STBBG and TAP.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I would email Stephen with those questions because he's still doing that before I become full-time, so. Your best option is to go to him.
Well, you're sitting there hitting our intern up.
Yeah.
He's bad lead off, right?
Yeah.
I know.
I'm still an intern until December. I actually have to leave here right after presentation because I have to go to class.
Great job.
This application's online, Joey.
Yeah, they are. They're on our website, which I'm sure you've seen before, but we could go ahead and pull it up. It's under the programs, transportation, and transportation overview. Just down here. Or you could go to each individual. So TAP would be down here. Other questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Joey.
Great job.
Okay, next we got Murda. She's going to update us on the transit service and funding.
I'm going to take you back to March of 2020. The Western Reserve Transit Authority was awarded a grant by the Ohio Department of Transportation to fund public transportation in Trumbull County. This was a pilot demonstration project. And they received the largest allotment that year to implement this pilot program for fixed route services into Trumbull County. The grant that it was applied for was called the Ohio Transportation Partnership Program, which is also referred to the OTP2 program. This is a discretionary grant program. It's not guaranteed every year, and you have to apply for it every year. All transit systems compete against to apply for this type of funding from the Ohio Department of Transportation. Since 2020, the WRTA has applied for this program, the OTP2 program, to continue transit services, fixed route services in Trumbull County, with the understanding that Trumbull County officials would implement fixed route service or some type of transportation in Trumbull County for the citizens of Trumbull County, and come up with a dedicated funding source to support transit and a plan for transit services in Trumbull County. And during the month of August of this year, ODOT released the allocations for the OTP2 programs for fiscal year 2023, and the awards came out from the state, which did not allocate any funding to the WRTA to continue route services into Trumbull County. One of the reasons that there was no local funding commitment over the years from Trumbull County, and that a service plan of what type of transportation was going to be provided in Trumbull County, if it was going to be fixed route, paratransit services, countywide services, or little shuttle buses traveling throughout the county. So the Ohio Department of Transportation's OTP2 grant expired this year, and the WRTA had to terminate services in Trumbull County on September 8th of 2023. So some of the routes that were affected, that were terminated, were the 70 Southwest, the 71 North, 73 West, the 74 Elm, and the 76 North Jackson routes were cut from the service. The 28 Warren Express route, that route is still in operation. That is a regional route that connects the city of Youngstown and the city of Warren. That particular route is still in service and will continue to be in service. There have been ongoing transit meetings in Trumbull County and Lordstown, and with some of the businesses up in Lordstown that were affected by the route cut, the 76 in Lordstown. And we have met with the county commissioners and Mike Solomon regarding transit services and talked to them about what is the next step for Trumbull County. So as we continue to have these ongoing meetings, Trumbull County still needs to address the funding transit and having a sustainable financial plan in place and having the management capabilities to operate a transit system. There have been numerous discussions with the Federal Transit Administration and the Ohio Department of Transportation. And there is an upcoming meeting coming up, like that's this month, on the 18th, with the Ohio Department of Transportation on what type of funding we can secure. One of the things when we're talking about receiving federal monies from Federal Transit Administration and from the Ohio Department of Transportation, you have to have a dedicated funding source. Those funds and programs have to be programmed in our Transportation Improvement Program and our state TIP. So in September, because the allocations came out for the OTP2 program, Eastgate prepared a general policy board resolution. The Finance Committee approved it because of the timelines when the announcements were made for that particular grant. The TIP amendment that was approved was General Policy Board 016-2023. That particular funding included the funding that WRTA received, federal funding from the USDOT RAISE grant for engineering design of Federal Station, the low no funding award to purchase 3 battery electric vehicles, they're LTV vehicles, EV charging equipment, workforce development. And to include the OTP awards and WRTA for facility upgrades to their main facility. When ODOT and the USDOT award grants, these projects need to be programmed in the STIP tip. And so that Federal Transit Administration can process those requests. Like to congratulate WRTA on the RAISE grant and the Low-No grant that you have, and we're still continuing to work with Mike Solomon on the transportation issue taking place in Trumbull County. So, are there any questions?
Thank you, Myrna. Okay, next we have Tricia. She's going to update us on the next round of the planning grant.
Our planning grant is going to be opening again this month. You can find that on our website under programs, regional planning, and planning grant. So for the fiscal year 25 planning grant, we have our website updated with all the information. We're going to open applications on October 20th, and they'll be open through December 16th. So you have 2 months to prepare and get your projects submitted. We have a fully updated program guide that kind of explains all of our regulations and stipulations for application in here. So this funding source is primarily concerned with different trails, active transportation, and those sorts of projects. This has been a program we've been operating for a while now, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. We usually have set aside around $30,000 each cycle.
What's the total for each project? Usually.
I would say we usually fund 3 projects a year, so around roughly 10,000. Questions?
That's it. Thank you, Tricia. Okay, next, Stephanie will discuss the Clean Ohio Round 18.
So round 18 is underway, and we had 2 applications received. So in no particular order, we had an application from Mill Creek Metro Parks for improvements to their Mill Creek Wildlife Sanctuary expansion project that was from round 14. And Trumbull County Metro Parks is working to acquire land in Champion and create a wetland. So a little brief summary on Mill Creek's improvements. Again, like I said, it's improving land that was acquired through round 14. It will increase public access, passive recreation, and educational opportunities. Some habitat restoration on this project will include invasive species management, native prairie restoration, and tree planting. Total project cost was $200,000. Clean Ohio request is $150,000. The Champion Wetland Connector will acquire 117 acres. A lot of those acres are in wet meadow, marsh, scrub, shrub, forested wetlands. About 35 acres of those wetlands are category 3, which is the highest that you could go for wetlands. So it'll protect 3 streams, and approximately 63 acres of ag fields will be restored as prairie pollinator spaces. Trumbull County's project cost is $607,358. Their Clean Ohio request is $449,358. So for round 18, we had over $2.8 million available for funding. Total project costs that came in were over $807,000. Total requested was a little over $599,000. So you can see that when round 19 comes around, we're still going to have a lot of money. So be thinking now of what types of projects are out there in your communities, or reach out to those who are conservation minded and want to continue to protect some lands. Again, this could also be used for stream restoration projects, or wetland restoration projects. Don't lose sight of it only being acquisition. This can also be for restoration. Our meeting schedule, the red arrow is where we're at now. Next week, we'll be hearing presentations from the applicants. They will come in, give a brief overview of their project to the NREC members, and then in the following week, the NREC will meet and vote on the scores together and select the project. So not a competitive round, so we'll see what shakes out. Announcement we'd like to make is we are calling for nominations to fill 4 seats on the NREC. We need 1 seat in each category, 2 and 3. I listed a description there of what each category is. And then the remaining 2 seats can be from any of the 5 categories that can be on the NREC. So I will show you, you can find those on Eastgate's website. Go to Eastgate. What? Programs, environmental planning, Clean Ohio. And then down here is the NREC nomination form. All this can be uploaded and filled out. And here are your categories that you could represent. Remember, we need ones from 2 and 3. And the last 2 can be from any one of those 5 categories. Nominations need to be back electronically to me by 3 p.m. on October 31st. Any questions?
Stephanie, by not awarding the entire allocation every year, do we risk losing future funding?
According to Linda Bailiff, we do not. So as long as we continue to fund projects that are Clean Ohio minded, that funding does not go back into a big coffer. It's not distributed to any other NREC. It stays within us. So mind you, when 19 rolls around next March, we will have on top of that our yearly allocation, which is a little over $1 million. So I don't know if it's a sign of the times, because when this first started in 2001, we had a lot of projects coming in, a lot of land acquisition. And so not sure what the temperature is out there, but like I said, if you can come back on a Clean Ohio project that you purchased in years past, you can apply for improvements funds, you can apply for restoration. So sometimes we need to get a little creative.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, next Mark's going to update us on economic development and broadband. Thanks, Gary.
Okay, so it's been a busy summer, busy early fall so far. Recently, the Asheville County Port Authority received some funding from the EDA. They're looking to do a recovery and resiliency strategic plan. They've acquired some property up in Jefferson. Actually, it was an old coal-fired power plant closure, and they acquired, I believe, nearly 1,000 acres of land. And they're looking to see how they can redevelop that property and make the best use of it. Economically, they're hoping to bring in some employers, job creation, but however they can best use that facility, they're hoping this plan and this investment from EDA will help them do that. Projects nearing completion, these were funded in 2022, but reports should be coming out for each of these either towards the end of this year, or early next year, the Youngstown Crab Creek Corridor Study, the Port Authority's Youngstown Warren Regional Airport Assets Plan, and then the Trumbull County Strategic Plan, the Tourism Strategic Plan is actually completed. And we're going to be putting that on our website here soon. I just found out they just got their final draft this week, so that'll be available for review. The EDA Recompete program, this is a new program, could be a one-off. They could do it multiple years, but essentially they're trying to help mitigate the prime age employment gap in areas that are significantly affected by unemployment. Our region, the Youngstown Warren MSA, qualifies for this funding. It's considered significantly affected, trailing the national average of unemployment in that prime age gap there, the 25 to 54 years. We do have a local applicant, the Building a Better Belmont Coalition, which is a consortium of the city of Youngstown, Liberty Township, the Healthy Community Partnership. Eastgate's a participant in that group. There's several others that I'm probably leaving out, but they're going to be seeking those funds to collaborate with residents, businesses, anchor institutions along the Belmont Avenue corridor, and sort of see what the art of the possible is. That application is actually going in today. The deadline is 11:59 p.m. So we wish them the best of luck. I believe they are going to be seeking somewhere around $500,000 for a strategy grant. So could be a pretty big problem. Other news, just some general updates. So the Public Works and Economic Adjustment Assistance Program is probably the most heavily prescribed EDA program. We've had several projects in the last 3-4 years get funded out of this. And we've really kind of fine-tuned our process here, and we've been very successful across all 3 counties getting funding in construction and in strategy grants. Nothing much has changed from last year. The program in FY24 will have about $300 million. They will require a 50% project match. Cash is king. We've seen it here. I'm looking at Joanne. I can tell you when you do in kind, it creates an administrative headache. But if you have cash project match, that's a better option. Roughly $6 million after this funding gets broken down will be available in the state of Ohio. Maximum construction ask, probably around $2 million. Might be able to squeeze out a little more if your project is highly competitive. And then about $100,000 to $200,000 for planning grants. The difference between EDA and a lot of the other programs that either Joey or Steph or Kathy talks about a lot, there's no deadlines. So it kind of makes it a little bit confusing on when the best time to apply is. We work pretty closely with our regional rep, Ellen Hines, and she kind of gives us the insight on, hey, maybe you should apply here or there before their investment review committee will convene. Again, highly competitive, got to have some major economic impacts in the form of job creation and private investment. You really just want to ask for what you need. It'll be much easier for them to fund the project if you're not asking for too much. And then you have to align with their investment priorities. The priorities have remained the same from last year. I'll just run through them real quick. Equity, recovery and resilience, workforce development, manufacturing, technology-based development, environmental development, and then exports and foreign direct investment. And then lastly, just wanted to touch in the middle of September, Eastgate, myself, we attended the OEDA's annual summit. General themes of that summit were, infrastructure, workforce, equitable tax structure, affordable, reliable energy, and then support for existing businesses. The conference is well attended by, the folks from Jobs Ohio, lots of communities around the state, county, local government, some federal government employees there as well, giving good presentations. And then several of us went through the Ohio Certified Economic Developer courses, and we were certified this past May. And so we were given plaques at the conference. So myself, David Wiley, and Melissa Majorano from the Youngstown Warren Regional Chamber, and then Ryan Silvasci from the National Center for Urban Solutions. So 4 of us from the region are certified now, and hopefully we'll be able to put those the tools we learned to good use on our own work. Jumping into broadband, Eastgate was again very successful going after another grant. So this is from Connect Humanity. They offer digital accelerator grants And the premise of these grants were to help your communities, local communities, specifically our 3 counties, align with the BEAD funding that's coming down next year. So essentially what we see this as is we already have a regional feasibility study we completed a few years ago. A lot of that's going to carry into this, but what we're going to do is we're going to take that information we have and make sure that we're in direct alignment with what the state's priorities are going to be for BEAD. So you have BEAD, you have the Digital Equity Act funding, and really as close as we can get to that with these digital accelerator plans for our counties, the more successful we're going to be. That funding is going to get underway in 2024. The state is finalizing some of their own plans for how to use that funding. They've submitted volume 1 of their plan just recently, and volume 2 is due by the end of the year. Again, the state received $793 million in BEAD funding and 2.75 million in digital equity funding. Again, the timeline here, the final plan's due by the end of the year. About 20% of the funding will be released in 2024 and the remaining 80% in 2025. So just some target deadlines, keep in mind. The way this ties into that Connect Humanity is we hope to have our plans in place and completed by the beginning of next summer. And we really want to be in direct alignment with this timeline here because we don't want to miss out on any potential funding opportunities, particularly for the unserved and underserved communities in our region. Again, we use these terms a lot, but just for folks who aren't as well versed in broadband as myself and Steve, unserved means you're not getting at least 25 megabit download and 3 upload speed, and underserved is now classified as also 25.3, but anything under 100 megabit download and 20 megabit upload speeds. So the speed requirements are getting much higher. We're really trying to push for not only the government funding to go to these areas, but also we're trying to encourage providers to go into the areas that need more modern connectivity. You see some of the priorities. We want to connect the anchor institutions. We want to get training devices out to folks. Obviously, it's a huge component of workforce development. And so the funding will go to the unserved, underserved first. Another big piece of this, and I'll show you a map here in a minute, and then the importance of the Ohio BEAD challenge process. So the FCC maps are what's going to basically determine what is an eligible area to invest in from the NTIA and BEAD. And in a minute, I'll show you a map as to why this is going to be very important. But pretty soon, Broadband Ohio is going to release how they intend to go after the challenge process. And we're going to release something as well, so all of our folks in our communities know how to go into the portal and submit those challenges. But as you see on the following map, it's very important to see, it shows Trumbull County as completely served. And we know that to be totally inaccurate. So the top 10 townships of Trumbull County should pretty much all be either red or blue on that map, and it's showing that it's totally served. And that's the FCC map. So if this map remains this way, Trumbull County will be totally ineligible for BEAD funding across the board. The following map will show you what the real information is. This comes from the state of Ohio. And you see basically the top half of the county is either red or orange, meaning it's unserved. And even after the information I just showed you, yellow and potentially some of the lighter green is even unserved, underserved at this point. So we have to do everything we can during the challenge process to ensure that we get the maps correct. Otherwise, Trumbull County will be left behind there, which we do not want to see. Just returning to that map for a minute, it does show, and these are still inaccurate with Mahoning and Ashtabula, but they're more in alignment with the data that we've seen and the data we're working with. But again, that Trumbull County issue will need to be resolved. Moving along to some of the local projects we have going on, we have the 1.5 million ARPA award that Eastgate received from the Mahoning County Commissioners to oversee a strategic wireless project in the county. The townships were selected based on the information I just talked about, either being unserved or underserved. We do have a provider that's been selected. They're not under contract at this point, so we can't announce that, but this map is just a little bit of a preview of what they said they'd be able to do in those 5 rural townships. And actually, it'll touch much more of the county than just those townships. And you see it spreads out into Trumbull, even Columbiana, Stark, and Portage. But this is a strategic wireless solution. And this is just a little bit of a preview of what might be possible once that project gets up and running. Initial steps that will start immediately once we begin are the site acquisition, the design, and the permitting. If that goes quickly, we're hopeful this project could be, I guess, live maybe by early next summer, potentially fall at the latest, but pretty quick timeline versus if you look at a traditional fiber build out that could take anywhere from 24 to 36 months. So wireless, you can kind of work a little bit quicker. Connecting underserved Appalachia. So this is a ARC Power application that was put in by Ashtabula County in coordination with Eastgate and the Governor's Office of Appalachia. We should have an answer on the status of this project this month, potentially next week or the week after. But this is a fiber-based project, 228 miles of gigabyte symmetrical broadband service, which is really ramping it up from where Ashtabula is now. There's a provider on board for that. That also cannot be announced until the project is official. But we will see if we're successful. We've made it sort of to the end of the line. So we're either waiting for the yes or no answer, and we should find that out here pretty soon. Total project cost, $12.5 million. So it's a pretty good sized project, and we're hopeful that this will be very successful.
Mark, what's the grant request? How much?
The grant request is actually the maximum. So $2.5 million, and the provider has come in and matched that with $10 million. So it's the partner we have on board has really stepped up, and we're hopeful this is going to be successful. And then just to touch on a few ongoing initiatives, these I've touched on these in previous TACs and CABs, but just to give an update, the Trumbull broadband engineering analysis, this was also ARC funding that was received in 2022, late 2022, to complete or to do engineering and to create a blueprint to complete a fiber loop running through Niles, Warren, Howland, and Wethersfield. This would more be business oriented because there's not necessarily there's not a big portion of unserved, underserved through those cities, but this would be to really ramp up the connectivity for the businesses, drum up economic development, and kind of streamline that process there. We also have a wireless deployment project going on in Ashtabula County, similar to what we're attempting to do in Mahoning. This has been in motion since last fall, and it's actually live in Cherry Valley. So Cherry Valley residents can now connect to Ohio Transparent Telecom, which is the wireless service provider. And then they're doing testing in the townships of Lenox, New Lyme, Richmond, and Pierpont. We continue to partner with community organizations across the valley and into Ashtabula on the outreach and marketing of the Affordable Connectivity Plan or program. The ACP basically, after the rebate that is given to the provider, offers free internet for low-income folks. And so it's a huge benefit of the NTIA's funding that came out in 2021, 2022. But based upon current figures, that funding is set to sunset in 2024. So without further government action, that'll sunset, and we're hopeful that something will happen, but if not, we'll have to come up with maybe some creative alternatives. Ongoing discussions around the valley about the Dig Once policy. Dig Once, again, not to read from the slide, but it's really, it helps minimize disruptions in excavation and construction, lower the costs of future broadband deployment. And it's really just a common sense policy that we're encouraging our local communities to consider and implement. And then lastly, a big one, the State Route 11 Lake to River fiber line, unfortunately was unsuccessful on the NTIA middle mile application this past summer. We were hopeful. We sort of made it to the finish line, but at the last second, unsuccessful. But we continue to emphasize the importance of this project to our state and federal legislators, and then also our partnership with Broadband Ohio, Ornet, ODOT, and several others to ensure that this project, will eventually find funding and get big home run middle mile with significantly lower costs for providers to get out to the last mile and get broadband to the residents.
Hey, Mark, just Yeah, sure.
Just an update on that, the Affordable Connectivity Program, because that's really a way for individual households to get $30 off a month. Well, when you project out the total impact, there's over 10,000 homes in the city of Youngstown alone getting it. So we look at how many homes in our 3 counties are getting it every month and project it out. It comes to an annual savings of over $20 million. And generally, those people that are saving that money are going to spend it back in the economy. So not only do they get free internet, now it's an economic development tool because it's $20 million back into the economy. So big program.
Thanks. That was a lot, but happy to take any questions. If not, we'll be around for a while, talk economic development and broadband. Right.
The last mile.
Yeah.
Is that all expected to be wireless?
No, but in some areas where it's cost prohibitive to build out fiber, wireless is more than likely the solution. So rural areas would be, specifically rural townships, it's much more difficult and expensive to build out fiber. You're talking 5 homes a mile and it's just, there's no return on investment for the providers.
Is the wireless just as effective?
So the short answer would be no. It's not going to get up to gigabit speeds, but it could get to 200 megabit download, which is significantly faster than folks currently have in a lot of our rural townships. You saw on those maps, let me go back real quick. If you see, northern Trumbull, bulk of Ashtabula there, some of them are barely getting 24 megabit download speed. So if you implement a wireless solution that can offer 200 meg, you're seeing a humongous increase there. So it's a short-term solution. It could potentially be a long-term solution and the technology keeps getting better. But to answer your question directly, fiber is certainly the future-proof, more, long-term solution, but it's very cost prohibitive. I mean, you could be looking at build outs of 20, 30, $40 million versus our solution in Mahoning County, which is $1.5 million. So it's just the numbers have to make sense.
Mark, who is putting in the Lake to River? Is that going to be included in the 2024 BEAD funding request?
So what's going to happen first is, so if we go to this, so what's going to happen with BEAD is they have to check these 2 priorities first. We've been told if we could spin our fiber line in a way that says we need to go through areas that are served to get to the unserved, we could have a good shot at getting that funding. But by the letter of the law, they have to invest in these unserved and underserved areas first.
Would we be a standalone or piggybacking on a state of Ohio request?
We still want to stay lockstep with Broadband Ohio until I guess we're told otherwise. It just would seem maybe it would not be advantageous for us to do so. There's alternatives we can consider. I think if we want to phase out the fiber line, maybe into 4 different phases, we could start chipping away at it through other state and federal sources. But I think at this point, it makes sense to kind of stick with the state because they've told us this is part of their middle mile plan.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Okay, Ed, you're the OPWC, the pre-apps and project scoring.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Morning, everyone. Just get a little update on the, this is the fiscal 2025 round 38 funding, which would be funding for next July. We received 55 pre-applications. Now we're down to 54 pre-applications. This is a list. I wasn't going to put this on there because you'd never be able to read it. This has all 54 projects in their scores so far in the process. There are requests for $11.5 million in grant money and about $5.4 million in loan money right now. Grant money, we only have about $7.6 million allocated to us for next year. Loan money, we have plenty of loan money, so that won't be a problem. The District 6 committee will be meeting in here next Tuesday, which is August 10th, for the, what we call the first points meeting. District 6 committee will assign points in 3 different categories for every one of the projects on the list. After that, they will meet again on October 24th, and they will assign points in the final category. And then after that, we'll meet again in November for a final cutoff. Which projects get funded and which projects do not get funded. Any questions, comments? Pretty simple. 38th year of doing this, so pretty successful program.
38th year for you, man.
No.
38th year.
What do you say? Wow.
Well, you guys, if you guys been around a long time, you remember all the guys that have been doing this before me, so. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Ed. Okay, now we're down to the executive director's report. Jim.
Thank you, Jerry. I just want to start recognizing the staff here at Eastgate. I have been in and out of the office quite a bit in the last 6 weeks with my dad's health and his passing. And then there's some places to be in Columbus for work and back and forth. But it's just a good feeling to come back, and the wheels are still spinning forward, and we're in a great place. And we're very successful, what you see. So heartfelt thank to the entire staff for keeping us going. And we did not just going forward fast. So I appreciate that. I will tell you that I'm excited about, I keep telling everybody, I think I'm at work now for another week and a half before I have to go somewhere. So this is good. I love to be back here. A lot of good things going on. Mark, congratulations on certification. That's a big deal. It was nice. It's a nice picture of 4 young people from our area being recognized. They're going to do economic development in our area. They don't need a room full of people like myself. You need younger people diving into it, and that's where we need to be. So appreciate that and the commitments from all our group. I did want to thank Joey for filling in today. I didn't know Paul was going to hit him with a zinger early, but he did a great job. He starts with us the end of this year, and it'd be a great addition. And I appreciate it. Intern getting up here speaking in front of anybody. So good news there, and we're in a good place with that. A couple of things I just want to comment on some of the projects we have going on. Connecting communities, we put back in for that. That's to take a look. That's planning money to take a look at eliminating the Madison Avenue Expressway, and we're not going to fill it in. We're going to grade it out, build service road on probably the south side of that. But that'd be determined in the process. We get the money. We got very close last time. That's easy to set any grant, but this is what that project's all about. I feel good about that request going in this time. We had a good debrief with the DOT in Washington about this project. So I feel like we're in a good place. Look forward to seeing some of those results. I know the city of Youngstown, YSU, and Mercy Health couldn't be more excited about possibly doing that. And I can tell you, ODOT's maintenance people couldn't be more excited about that project. It comes where they don't have to resurface 4 lanes of roadway and replace 7 bridges on some type of basis too. But we'll see. Again, never hurts. We're not afraid to take a swing, and we're not afraid when we miss, we get back up and take another cut. But I like that project. I like its chances. The 8304 feasibility study, we're in the final process of selecting a consultant. We had several put in for it. It's a great project. We look forward to getting a feasibility study started here within the next month or 2. We'll move forward. I know we have our housing assessment and strategy project underway. We look to have a stakeholder meeting here very shortly to get more people involved. We'll let the consultant kind of dictate that timing and kind of set the framework where we go for Mahoning and Trumbull counties. We also recently, last week, Eastgate authorized, I hate that word, the strategic rail, which has expertise in logistics and all types of logistics. They're taking a deeper dive into our Live Zone project, seeing the feasibility of an intermodal there or in Hubbard. Or if that don't work out, they had other alternatives where they take a look at trucking across 80 and where it's trying to go north and south, possibly up 11 and get to 75 over on the western half of the state. But their credentials were ridiculous. Talking to them, I'm just trying to not to embarrass myself on the phone, but they really like our area, like the opportunity to kind of dive in. This is kind of just putting our toe in the water and see if there's something to chase here. good planning money. We're going to use our GM investment, community investment funds to fund that study. And we look forward to some results. We think that could help us as a region. The other thing I want to talk about, it's been certainly talked about all over the place, the ARC, the Appalachia Community Investment or Grant Program. We have been granted the authority to manage that project. We're going to put in one mega project. It's going to consist of several projects. We asked for the ability to manage it because I think it was there was too many projects being sent to Columbus that may not have fit, may not have been able to deliver, may not have been able to be managed. So we have been working with all our communities in our region to put in a great mega project, again, consisting of several little projects. At this point, we've been reaching out to anybody that's had ideas. MS Consultants has been carrying the torch on what we call our river of opportunity when we put our projects together. And that was the most important focus. What we're looking at early is investing in the communities along the river for downtown revitalizations. We have a workforce component and healthcare component. I'm actually meeting with Mercy Health tomorrow, talking about 11 dental clinics, possibly in our 4 counties. When I say 4, because we dive into Columbiana anytime we talk to Lake to River. And in Ashtabula, obviously, for our ARC work also. We're going to, by the middle of next week, we hope to send out a project request form and questionnaire to individuals or communities that have inquired. Is sort of, we've been keeping ongoing discussions with. We're not looking for any new projects at this point. I think we're past that point of return. These are ones that have been kind of vetted with procured planners and have moved to some sort of process. But we want to turn around and make sure everybody gets their best shot at that. So we'll probably give a 2-week turnaround for that to come in. And then we're going to pick or really create a project evaluation committee of regional partners to select and see what we can move forward on for some, again, mega project. And we will be looking at $120 to maybe $140 million worth of requests for this region when we put all those projects together. When we get the money, we'll figure out how we're going to manage all that, all those projects. But that'd be a great problem to have. I feel very confident. That was $500 million set aside by the governor within the 4 districts of ARC, and we're one of them. So we will. We're counting on being successful. I think that there's a lot of great projects out there. You just can't build them all, and some fit in different funding sources. But again, looking for transformational projects, and these range from identifying 2 to 4 mega sites in our 4 counties, and then upgrading those mega sites so that they become marketable for economic development. This also includes a repopulation effort with the Welcome Center to help bring in immigrants and refugees into our areas. Again, I talked about dental clinics. We were talking with somebody downtown Youngstown wants to put a quick med down here. There's talks about, we've had a consultant on board developing a workforce strategy. Not a new strategy, just teaching the 4 counties and all the great workforce entities that are out there to work together so that we could be more successful as a region versus individually. So more to come quickly on that ARC grant program and on our selection process. But if your community or an entity with a project out there that we've been in conversations with, look forward to getting you the project submittal forms here within the next week or so, and then going through that evaluation process. With that, I think I covered everything. I appreciate the people being in person and the people that are viewing us online. And I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Jim. A lot of good collaborative efforts there. Okay, this month there are no general policy board resolutions for passage, so I'm going to open it up for any announcements or discussions. All right, Grant.
I had 2 quick things. One is I just announced today that the Safe Streets, Safe Routes to Schools applications for plan assistance just opened up due on the 1st. Transportation planning assistance. Remember, those give you access to Safe Routes to Schools money for in your area. So having current one of those. The more exciting news is that we have selected a consultant for entry for all plan and we got on our middle design group. Big part of this is that we're to go into this quickly. But other than that, we're planning on doing a stakeholder input meeting following that. So we're coming in person, stay after. Intelligence officer, they get here. Did a really good solid. Start on everything. And that.
Okay, great, Graham. Anything else? Stephanie?
I just want to announce that Eastgate put out an RFP for a company to come in and develop 2 watershed action plans. They're NIPSIS plans, what they're called now, but we selected 2 watersheds. One is Fish Creek, Mahoning River, that is down in southwest Mahoning County. And we chose Sugar Creek up in Sugar Creek, Pymatuming, up in, I think it's the Kinsman area of Trumbull County for our 2 plans of choice. That's because what's driving behind those is nutrient management. We have a lot of rural activity going on with livestock, septic systems. So we picked those 2 while working with our soil waters. So RFPs, the announcements on the table with the agendas, and RFPs are due to me electronically by November 17th. Thank you.
Stephanie? Anything else? Any other announcements? I got one. I want to introduce Stan Bell from our office. He started as part of the administration, I believe administrative assistant. He's going to be working into Steve Paplas's position. So everybody welcome him on board. If there's nothing else to announce, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Okay. Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Thanks, everyone. There's a West Connector in the BDM province.
That's what our plan is gonna be.
Reach out.
But they don't want to go. But they did stuff. I think I just. I say. I thought that was. No, I'm not complaining.